Welcome to the Connectable podcast.
The Connectable podcast starts in 3, 2, 1. Got a little bossy there. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No, I'm used to it. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm just kidding. I'm not used to it at all. So, well, there we go. Deb was just talking about how bossy she is, and she barked at me. Not really. I didn't take it that way at all, but she felt like she did. So maybe she's rolling in here with a guilty conscience.
I'm still in teacher mode. I just got done with back to school night, like literally like 10 minutes ago.
Oh, that's right. You know what? You texted me that, and I completely misread your text, and I was thinking it was after the podcast.
Oh, like at 9:30 at night?
Yeah, I'm like, what are you guys doing at your school? Why are you having back to school night that late? But then I reread it, and I'm like, oh no, we're good. This is it's a normal time.
Yeah.
So, anyways, enough of that.
Enough about that. Hi, Jordan. How are you?
How's it going?
Sorry, man. This is a little bit different than the other podcast. The other podcast is a little bit more formal intro. This one, like a lot of the podcasts that we listen to, we just kind of roll into it and then hope, it makes some sense going in. So how's it going?
Good. I'm gonna say, it was.
Oh, here we go.
I'm pretty average today. So it's like, I think for your podcast sake, I think you probably want me either in a good mood or kind of more salty mood. So I think worst case scenario is kind of where I'm at right now. I did just eat dinner with the family, and they tried to get me a little bit fired up. So I think they tried to some like social lubricant to me to get me a little bit, one way or the other, because you just never really know with me.
Social lubricant?
Yeah.
Is that the best term
you
could
heard that? Sorry.
That's where we're gonna start this off. I did say on our first Connectable podcast that on our other podcast, Character Combine, you were the only person I've had to bleep something out. And I was telling them that when we wrapped up, you're like, "Is that cool?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine with me, man. I don't care." And then the next day, you're like, "You know what? You should probably take that out."
Yeah, no, and it wasn't because I was embarrassed. It was more, right. I know it's your brand that you built up. So the last thing I want to do is sabotage that. But now it's all just you. So it's just reflective on you and not the bigger brand. So I don't care as much.
Yeah, no, yeah. Now all we have to be careful of is, Deb's a teacher. So it's like, kind of holds us back a little. No.
Right. And see, I'm already a little wary because I know we were, through her, I think her school, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that even. We're through her school Zoom. And I just don't want to end up on like BuzzFeed. I just watched that Hulu series, The Teacher. And so I'm just really skeptical of teachers. And that's my biggest nightmare because both Josh and I know a lot of teachers. You are my sister-in-law. So like my greatest nightmare is to see one of you all on BuzzFeed. That like I like have wake up in the middle of the night like in sweats because I can't handle that. So
that would be tough.
What is it? Is it like like BuzzFeed like via Zoom, like teachers being recorded doing stuff? Like, what does that mean? Just like in the news? I don't know what that is, but I get a picture in my head after you explained it to me, but what is it?
We'll see.
It's where teachers have affairs with students.
Oh, okay.
Because there's like those articles, it's like, you won't believe what this English teacher did to her 7th grader. And it's a nightmare. And like I said, I always click on those links because I think like most people, you have to look at both the teacher and the student.
You really do.
But now that like I have so many teachers in my proximity, like there's nothing worse, and not to say anything about their character or your character, but that's what all the other teachers probably said is I would never sleep with a student and then they're on BuzzFeed with little Timmy, Can
you imagine BuzzFeed reports, Mrs. Smith and little Timmy had an affair?
Yeah.
So is it a website?
Yeah, like those BuzzFeed articles, you'll do like, which office character are you? And they have stupid stuff like that. Like it's really a lot of like fluff pieces, like
It's like it's basically a website. Yeah. And they pop up a lot on Twitter. It seems like, in Facebook, with those types of things, some fun stuff and then some unfortunate things. So
it's really for white people. I mean, that's their main demographic.
Yeah, that's a good description.
And yet I didn't know what it was.
Which is good, because that means you've never been featured. So that's a good thing. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Stay off of that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I think, I can speak for Jordan. We've listened to a lot of podcasts, and this topic has been brought up quite a bit, with, teachers hooking up with students. And it's just like, it makes you wonder if that ever happened while we were in high school, because I could not tell you of anything that was even close to that. But then, it seems like those BuzzFeed articles or those types of articles pop up all the time. And it's like, what is going on? Like, it's just a wild thing. And sometimes, don't want to be inappropriate, because it's always inappropriate, but sometimes you see the teacher, and usually it's like, okay, it's a younger teacher, an attractive teacher, right? And then sometimes you see the teacher, it's like, this child has some horrible judgment. You know what I mean?
It's like, there's like Tinder and like Snapchat, right? You could have gone through that route. You went with,
history teacher. And
yeah, exactly.
Like, what were you doing? What do you think, teacher?
I yikes. Well, first of all, no, I agree. When we were younger, I think we didn't hear about it because there wasn't all the social media feeds. There wasn't all the news feeds. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, the social media we had when we were in school was like MySpace. Like,
that
stuff isn't okay. And that stuff's not even floating around on MySpace. Like, you don't know. And now it's like, it's featured on Instagram. Things can be featured on I don't know, like they like on the news anyway. So it's everywhere now. So I think that you get what I'm saying. It's just,
I got you.
And I'm like stuttering trying to say it, just because like I don't even like to think about it either, just because that's my profession that I'm in. And it's just like I just like can't even, my hairs stand up like when I think about it, like just like Jordan's like, as soon as you said what BuzzFeed was, what?
No, your hair stands up because that's the appropriate reaction for a teacher.
I'm like I just want to I can't even. Yeah. So
yeah,
it's but it happens, unfortunately. And yeah, you hear more about it these days. I think that's what it is, just because of social media and the internet. And
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, next topic. You came in too hot, bro.
I know. As long as it's on my mind. I was watching that TV show with Kate Mara, and it's been on my mind. So
there you go. Well, there we go. So this is why we have
off an episode.
That's right. This is why we have you on the podcast. So usually we start this podcast off by letting people know how we are connected to the guest. This is my brother, my second youngest brother, right? I don't know how I always have a tough time explaining.
No, well,
so I'm the oldest. I have a younger sister, then Jordan, and then our youngest brother. So figure it out. That's how we're 7 years apart, and that's how we're related. So we're related by our parents. There we go.
Yeah, I don't think we need to say more about how all that happened. That's not for this podcast.
I don't. Well, here's the thing: if they're listening to this podcast and you don't know how that happens, then I can't help you. You probably shouldn't be listening to this podcast.
Ask your parents.
Ask your parents. Ask your parents. There you go. So thanks for coming on the podcast, man. I'll be honest, we had a guest lined up, and unfortunately some schedule things happened and they weren't able to make it. So so
I said, Josh, have Jordan on. That's like the perfect answer. Come on. So you're welcome, Jordan.
She did. And then I'm like, okay, let me check with 2 more people and then I'll call Jordan.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad you brought that up, because nothing worse than making it seem like you're just having me on just to promote me, or it really is trying to do you guys a favor. So, I know there are some podcasts where, like the Bill Simmons podcast, where you look at the reviews and everyone hates when he has his family members on.
Yeah.
So I never want to be that person that, is on just because of, some sort of weird connection,
Yeah. Well, you're lucky that if I thought you weren't good, I wouldn't have you on ever. So
yeah, exactly.
My person, I would make up something. It's like, I don't know if this is the best platform for you. Let's try a different platform when I start another podcast. I would figure some way to throw you off the scent if I thought you were bad.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So I want to start this off. Like I said, oh, did you have something to say, Deb?
No, go ahead. Go.
Okay. So
This is
something I wanted to bring up, and you and I had joked about this on our other podcast when you were a guest co-host. It's a hilarious story for me. It was I believe when you were in middle school. That's what you were saying. It's one of the funniest stories, one of those stories that you've told around our entire family. And when you tell this story, it just makes everybody laugh super hard every time, because you got sick at school. You weren't feeling well, and you had some issues at school, and the way you handled it was probably one of the grossest things I've ever heard, and also the most impressive. So take us through that.
Okay, yeah. So it was in 7th grade, and I don't know what time of the year it was, but it was definitely probably during flu season, and I just felt very nauseous. And it's not, I sometimes have a weird stomach with that, and I get headaches, and I get nauseous quite a bit. So I was in my first period algebra class. I remember it distinctly, because I was also like sitting in front of the girl that had a big crush on me. This girl had a big crush on me, I believe, like 5th all the way probably to 8th grade. So this is someone like one of my oldest friends, and so I just wasn't feeling great. And at the beginning of the year, I had all the teachers say, hey, if you're going to get sick, you don't need to raise your hand. You don't need to get the bathroom pass, just run out. Me being kind of a quieter kid, like, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to make a scene and do like a sprint out of the classroom. So she was doing, I don't know, something, inequalities or, whatever, some sort of equations. And I was kind of in the front row. So it's like, okay, I felt kind of just that sickness, the nausea in my stomach. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to throw up. And it was right in the middle of the class when she was in the lecture. And like I said, it was during winter, so I had a sweatshirt on. So the first thing I thought of is, hey, if I'm going to throw up, I'm going to throw up in my shirt. And so I did that, but I also thought, well, I shouldn't do that. So I'm going to do it in between my shirt and the sweatshirt. So kind of during a loud part of algebra, the lesson, it might have been someone was talking, someone made a joke. I literally pulled my sweatshirt out and started throwing up. And no one really found out. At least not that I know of, because I feel like that would have circulated super quickly around school. So, the girl behind me didn't, see me, no one on the side saw me, and, the teacher probably wasn't super locked in, so she didn't see me. So basically after that, like, I still wasn't feeling good. So it's like, okay, I'm going to still try and kind of power through. I don't want to, go have my mom take off work to pick me up. My grandma was probably going to do it, and she's not reliable. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just try and power through. So luckily next period is PE, which is kind of awkward because at that point in 7th grade, you have to change out. So I was at my locker and I was like, oh shoot, I have on the front of my shirt is just orange throw up. So how am I going to get dressed in front of all these dudes and not show them that I threw up? So I basically just took off the sweatshirt and the t-shirt at the same time and got dressed. And basically everyone knows what a guy's locker room smells like in 7th grade. It's BO. Back then it was Axe body spray. And now it was like whatever I had for breakfast in throw up form. So then, I did my thing in, elementary school or in PE that period. And then I basically, at the end, I had to just go down to the nurse and say, hey, I'm not feeling well. And there's like, okay, well, we called your mom. Someone's going to be here in about 30, 45 minutes. So basically I have to sit through another 3rd period honors US history class with throw up in between my sweatshirt and my shirt. And I finally got to go home, but it was kind of like, I don't want to say it's my proudest moment, but I'm like pretty proud that I was able to, and again, no one said anything afterwards. No one, said, hey, did you throw up in your shirt because you smell terrible, so I'm pretty proud that I was able to sneak that by people.
Wow.
Pretty good.
What grade? What grade were you in?
7th.
7. That's pretty good, especially
Oh my God,
at that age. That's when people start getting ruthless too when it comes to making fun of people. So well done, man. I love that. That's one of my favorite stories you've ever told because it just amazes me on multiple levels. I don't know how you did it. I'm pretty sensitive to that stuff. I feel like I would have, if I was next to you, I probably would have smelt it, but maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. What's that?
I was gonna say the dedication you had to cover that up and to make sure no one noticed, like that's a talent.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say that, but it was probably stupid. But and I don't know, maybe people did, maybe there's a big text chain afterwards, like, hey, Jordan just puked himself, and we're not making a big enough deal about this. So if anyone knows me and knew I threw up that day and were scared to tell me, I would love to know that someone found out, because that would, lower the impressiveness of the feat.
That's true. Let us know in the comments if you went to school with Jordan, and if you listen to this, let us know. Did you know he puked that day?
Yeah, it was algebra, PE, honors, world history.
That's an impressive run. That's very impressive. So I don't know. What are you thinking, Deb?
I just I didn't think of something else because I keep laughing. I'm sorry.
And you know
that
what?
was a very well.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that was a very well told story too. Like I had the picture in my head and everything, like everything that happened or could have happened that day to you. It was very.
And I screwed up the story because I knew I was gonna have to say this, and I should have given a warning, because there's nothing worse in podcast than when someone doesn't give you a warning about someone gross like that, and you're like eating lunch, and you have to hear about my throat. So I should have given like a spoiler, not a spoiler alert, but like a throw up warning that we're gonna talk about throw up.
You're gonna get sick.
Oh, well.
Be prepared.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another story that I would. I don't know if you feel comfortable sharing this story. It involves licorice. Are you good with us?
Yeah, we can.
Perfect. Do that. Okay, perfect.
But I do want to point out, I didn't win guest of the year for the last podcast. If I'm throwing out these stories, I better get more votes than I did. I'm just gonna throw that out there, because I'm really being vulnerable right now in front of everyone.
Vulnerable.
Right.
I've always said, I'll say this right now. I've told people before, man, I feel like you should try stand-up comedy, because I feel like when you listen to comics, they have all these weird things happen to them, especially the type of comic who tells stories. And I feel like you have weird stuff happen to you all the time, like just weird interactions. Like the other day, Jordan was telling me some homeless guy threw a bottle at him on his walk. Like, I feel like stuff like that happens to you all the time. And I feel like you could do a podcast or get on the stage. Like, I feel like you need to do one of the two things, because these stories are going to go to waste.
There's definitely like a situational awkwardness that just revolves kind of around my life.
Hey.
Yeah.
You tell it well. So.
Okay. So here's the. So we're gonna tag team this story a little bit, because it involved both of us. But
the licorice story.
Yeah, I forgot how old you were, Jordan, when this happened. But
25.
Say again.
25.
20. Oh, that's right. 25. No. Sure. 25. It was yesterday.
No, I was. It was like elementary school.
Oh.
Yeah. So did you want to start, or do you want me to just go ahead?
No, go ahead. I'll chime in when I feel necessary.
Yeah. No. So it was elementary school, and I think my mom was buying either snacks for a school function or a baseball function. So she went to Costco and got one of those big jars of red vines. And I think it was probably like a buy one, get one. So she got one for the school and got one for the house. And I think she got it probably on like a Friday. And no one, I can't remember what they were doing. They were probably out shopping for other stuff. I really didn't have a ton of guidance. Again, it's probably my grandma. And again, not super reliable. So I kind of just grabbed the red vine container and just started going to town. I was probably playing, like Nintendo 64, PlayStation, and I just started eating them. And those, like, I don't know, 250 pieces. I don't know, somewhere close to that. I ate 85% of the whole thing. So then I felt fine. Like I
Costco size.
Yeah, the Costco size, the big one. Yeah,
like it's like bigger than our head. Yeah.
Right.
And so I felt fine. I just kind of kept eating. Like I probably didn't have that much dinner. And I can't. Was it at night or was it the next morning?
I think it was the next morning.
Yeah. So the next morning, I go to the bathroom and, I kind of just doing my thing, not paying attention. And then I look down at my bowel movement and it's all red. And I'm not talking like a faint red. It looks like it's tomato paste.
Yeah,
To
or
be honest.
in mom's worry, blood.
Yeah, blood.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, they kind of just I kind of tell mom, like, hey, mom, this is happening. And she's like, okay, we need to go to the doctor then. And we need to get this checked out. So we basically go to the doctor, and I don't remember what it involved, but there's like, well, they're and we took all these tests and nothing's wrong with you. So it's not internal bleeding, but like, just to be sure, we want you to take a stool sample when you get home. And I remember on the way home, my mom was going, somewhere around town, and I was probably more in the Rancho Cordova area. So she dropped by the Rancho Cordova Costco and picked up Costco pizzas for lunch that day because it was Saturday, had to feed the family. So basically within, I don't know, 5 minutes into lunch, everyone's eating lunch, and I proudly announced to the table, I need to go take my stool sample. So I run to the bathroom, and it's like a Dixie cup, and I was elementary school, so I didn't realize like how much you were supposed to do. Like I assumed it was like a soft serve ice cream cone. I assumed you do it to the top. And so basically what happens is, I don't even know how I finagled that, but I basically filled the cup plus some. It was basically, actually, it was more like the ice cream milkshake where they give you the cup and then they give you the metal tin. That's basically what happened. And I basically ran out, and of course, just being a kid, no self-awareness. While everyone's eating their tomato saucy pizza, I said, "Hey guys, this is a problem."
I'm gonna pause you there, because if I remember correctly, the first thing you did was tell me, which was the worst thing you could have done, because I couldn't help but laugh.
It was the funniest thing Josh ever saw.
Yeah, it's like, it's gonna be a serious condition, but like he tells me first, I'm like, oh, that's the worst mistake you could have made. Why would you tell me? I'm so immature. Even now at 32, I couldn't have handled it. And then I got in trouble, but go ahead.
Oh my God.
No, I mean, I think, after you were done laughing, my mom was really scared at that point because she had the visual of the tomato paste that was my poop. And we basically just went to, I remember it, we went to the doctor, and it was super embarrassing because it was probably closer towards the end of my elementary school. So probably when I started liking girls, and I remember the doctor was super attractive, and I have to, tell her about my, my licorice poop. And she just basically, we were talking, and she's like, I just mentioned, like she probably asked what changes to your diet. And I just said, I don't know. I just ate 250 pieces of red vines yesterday. She's like, oh, well, I didn't need to go to like 10, 12 years of school to figure that out, dummy. So that's basically it.
So wow. our mom was, she was relieved and angry all at the same time. It was like, also, it was like, Jordan was like, there was this concern. It's like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with my young son too? You dummy. Why would you eat that much licorice?
Was everyone angry that you brought your poop to the dinner table?
I think I actually got away with it because they thought I was dying. They thought I was like terminal. So it's like, how mad can they be at the terminal kid?
Oh my God.
It was the funniest thing.
I've heard of food turning your poop or your whatever a certain color, but I didn't know it could be like that. Oh my gosh. I wonder if
it wasn't a faint red. It was like it was tomato paste. I mean, that was the consistency too.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So anyways, thank you for sharing those stories. I've been share another. Oh, I'm sure we have. I'm sure we have more. I'm trying to think. I'll have to think of some, because I know there's definitely some good ones. Well, I'll say this. This is not really a story. Actually, it does kind of lead into a story. Okay. So which I would encourage you guys, and I'm not just saying this because he's my brother and I love him, but I would definitely encourage you guys to go follow him on Instagram, because he does post, like, we both love taking shots with our GoPro, and the stuff that he posts always makes me angry. In fact, I hate I hate when this douchebag sends me pictures. He'll text me pictures like, what do you think about this? I was like, of course it's dope. You didn't need to send it to me. He's just showing off because my pictures don't turn out like that. It's like, yeah, cool, man. Cool. Enjoy your cool shots. But he does post a lot of really cool content. But that being said, I'm 32, Jordan, you're 25. And so we've gotten in some trouble before with our GoPros when we go certain places, because believe it or not, GoPros don't like two grown men acting crazy at a pool with GoPros. Go figure. And so it's happened a couple of times, and now it's gotten to the point where if we go to a public pool where there is a lifeguard or someone watching, the place, we know the look. We can tell it's like, oh, lifeguard, 3:00. They were definitely watching. Be careful. It's happened multiple times. And there was one time we went to a public pool where they had these giant inflatables. Like, I don't know if you've seen them before, but they're these giant inflatables that they put on top of the water, and they're like, it's like an obstacle course, right? Mm-hmm. And so you can go through it. So we were at this specific place, and we were definitely two of the older people on these things, but it didn't even cross our minds like we shouldn't be on this thing. We're just like, oh, it'd be a cool shot. And so we hop on this thing, and our sister with our GoPros. And so my wife was with us, and then our sister was with us. And so they made it very clear you cannot bring your GoPro on this device, this flotation device. I'm like, cool. So we had our sister on the side taking video for us. And so she saw the whole thing, right? And they were letting people go in. They let one person go, and once they got to a certain point of the obstacle course, then they would let the next person go, right? But obviously there's kids on it, so sometimes you get held up, like they're trying to climb the ladder, and so you might have to hold up a little bit. So at this specific moment, Jordan had gone before me, and this is all on film. Like, my sister had been filming this. Jordan was in the middle, and you can see him just hanging on, waiting for this kid and his mom to go, and then I was right behind him, and I'm like, we're just waiting. So I was just being silly, and I start shaking the entire thing, trying to knock him off. Didn't realize that there was a mom and like a 5-year-old at the front of it, and this poor kid's trying to climb the ladder. No idea. And the kid's hanging on like, oh my gosh, it's an earthquake. And we see the whole time our sister's like what? It's like, if he can't hang on, that's his fault. I had no idea what she was talking about. And then we rewatched the video, and you hear this mom's like, he's only 5, stop it. Like,
oh my gosh, she was like begging you to stop, and was that why your sister was like, stop?
That was exactly it. She's like, hey, cut it out, stop it. We had no idea. I was just like, hey, Jordan, look at this. And I was trying to shake him off the raft. We were having a great time. The kid in front was not. He's probably terrified of water parks now.
No, and then the mom got out. So they basically he got sent in the water. She picked him up, basically took him outside, and she walked right in front of my sister and my sister-in-law. And it's basically something to the extent of, why the heck are like two grown men at a kids park screwing around like that? Like, it's for kids. And so she was just like livid, and I don't know if she realized, Ashley and Rachel were with us, but yeah, it was kind of like, hey, you guys are like, I was probably early college. Josh was definitely like,
I was out of college.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a job for like 5 years at that point. It wasn't great. I was getting ready to propose my now wife. It wasn't a good situation. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, but anyways, that kind of stuff's happened all the time.
You do like for as much as people, I think people, like, your approval rating for most people is super high, except for like middle-aged moms at a pool. Like, they're
not my biggest fans.
No, it's safe to say they hate you.
Yeah, pretty much.
You have a knack for splashing them. They're 2 feet away from the edge of the pool, and they get upset when you splash them. And it's always that look like, oh, this guy's so immature. He's 30 and he's doing cannonballs.
I know. I just can't help it. Actually, that reminds me of a funny story. So, because, when we had Trav Cole on here, back when we were working together, the people would always say, oh, you guys are just two of the nicest guys, and which one's nicer? It's like, oh, ha, ha. And we'd always say the other one was nicer. These stories clearly show that he's nicer. But I remember him and I and another guy, so there was 3 of us, 3 adults, went to this this educational camp for the Oak Ridge Elementary School that we were working with. So they asked us, we did the after school running program, and they asked us, hey, would you guys be willing to be chaperones on this tour for our 6th graders? And they went to Alliance Redwoods. We're like, yeah, that'd be great. So we went up there, and they did games and they did different activities, and we weren't really involved, right? So we were jealous because we were all competitors and athletes, and we wanted to play. But they're like, no, this is for the kids. Well, the day that we left, in the like early part of the morning, like, hey, we're gonna play a bunch of fun games, not the educational stuff. We're like dodgeball, stuff like that, and we're gonna let the leaders play too. And we're like licking our chops, like it's about time. And these kids have been giving us a hard time all week. I'm about to hit them with some dodgeballs. And so I remember we played dodgeball and we were just nailing these kids. And even the guy who's leading it, he's like, "Whoa, these guys have some aggression they're taking out on these kids." It's like, shut up, we're having a good time. And so the last game we played was I think Steal the Bacon. I think it's what they called. But you basically you're in a square, and then you had a certain number of people on each side, and then the leader, the person who was instructing it, this very nice lady who probably shouldn't have instructed this specific game, was saying she would call it a number, right? Like 1. And if she called out the ones, then all the ones have to run to the middle and grab the biggest stuffed animal they could and then bring it back. And that was kind of or not bring it back, they just had to grab it, and then they won that prize. And so we didn't realize this, and she didn't realize this. She made a horrible mistake because she allowed us to play this game too. And so it was me, Trav, the other intern, and then the biggest 6th grader. That he looked like a freshman. He was huge. All of us were the same number, and so she had no idea. And she's like, "Hey, there's no diving." Okay, perfect. That wasn't going to happen. We all, as soon as they called our number, we all dove headfirst and crashed into each other. So, like I said, you're right, Jordan. I have an issue with these types of things. There's a pattern in my life that I can't control myself when it comes to these competitions and things like that. So I don't know.
Well, it reminds me of your bachelor party. Kind of you want something pretty low key. I was in charge of it. It wasn't going to be anything crazy. So for a lot of people, it would sound stupid and childish, but I think we had fun. And for this group, like it was probably the best case scenario. So we basically ended the night playing laser tag. And now this is going to be taken, I think there was, our cousin had a hookup there, and so he basically said, hey, there's this such thing as bachelor mode, which basically makes you invincible, and you can just start murking kids.
Yeah.
And of course it's laser tag, so it's like I was probably me and my younger brother were probably the youngest ones at like 20-ish, 2018. And everyone else was 30, well into their 30s, grown men. So we get ready to play in this laser tag, and it's all these like probably middle school and under kids. So we're just like, they give the rules, hey, no running, no roughhousing, and we're kind of just rolling our eyes because we know that's not going to happen. And this is going to be taken out of context, and it sounds creepy. But once the lights go down, like somebody takes over, and you just gotta like kind of body kids. And so I'm stiff arming kids. I'm shoving kids, and like, they get super upset. There's like, hey man, you're a grown man. Why are you doing this? Like, shut up. And you just kind of shove them some more. Like it literally becomes like Call of Duty, where I'm using my body and just shoving kids around, pushing them in the corners, just because the lights are out and no one can see. So again, that sounds weird for around underage kids, but like I said, I gave a couple like forearm, stiff arms, and put a kid in a headlock. I don't know, something might have happened.
Yep, something might have happened.
When you guys are describing all of this with the whole beating kids up thing.
Whoa, hold on.
I picture. Hang on. I'm picturing Billy Madison in that scene where he's just pegging the kid with like the dodgeball when he gets kicked out of class.
It's not far off. Yeah.
It's light roughhousing. That's it.
Light roughhousing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's it happens. Stuff happens. But
this is a great story time session. I want another story.
Yeah. One more. You have anything, Jordan? I'm sure we have something. I'm trying to think.
Again, like I'm really trying to be sensitive to what I can say and can't. So
no, you're fine.
At this point, come on, say whatever. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's
Okay.
until I'm sure more things will pop up.
Okay.
But something. So Jordan, you're big on Twitter. You love Twitter. In fact, you posted something. I'm gonna try to find it right now. That I
And just to be clear, I'm not a big influence on Twitter. I'm on it too much.
yeah, there you go. You enjoy Twitter.
Who's your favorite? Who do you like? Who's your favorite person to follow or account to follow on Twitter? Like, who do you love seeing?
Ooh, that's tough. Yeah, that's tough. A lot of it's probably sports related, and I don't retweet a lot. That's my New Year's resolution, is to retweet more people. But probably what I think my favorite just personality, and that's a public figure, is Ryan Russillo. Especially you're in sports, like there's just a really funny dry humor, and if you understand kind of the joke, that it's like super funny. Otherwise, you think he's an idiot. This past year with the pandemic, I've had to listen to newer podcasts, and so I started listening to the guys at Pardon My Take. So I really think that PFT commenter is super funny. And again, if you get the joke, I think his sense of humor is actually just super funny. And for a guy that's the gimmick is to be super dumb, I think he's like super smart, and just the jokes are just really, really funny. So probably those two I've enjoyed lately.
Nice. So that was that was your New Year's resolution, was to retweet more?
Yeah, because it kind of just, if you look at my timeline, very egotistical. Yeah. It's just all my stuff, and I just feel like I should probably.
I see a lot of Jordan Takimoto here as I'm scrolling through.
Yeah. How's that going? Are you retweeting? It's January.
No, really.
Heck no.
No.
Then you're 12 days behind.
I think people need to step up. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, better stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, here, this was a good tweet, because I think it summarizes pretty clearly how you feel about your different social media platforms. So this is Jordan. This is a quote from Jordan. I do think of my different social media accounts as my kids. Twitter, easily my favorite kid, the only kid I let drive the BMW. Instagram, I try to show this kid love, but it loves other family members more, even though I'm the one that drives it to soccer practice weekly. And then Facebook, this is a kid from a previous marriage that I hate. Basically sent them to military school for behavioral issues. I don't really acknowledge their existence. There we go. You care to explain yourself? I mean, that's pretty clear.
I like, I kind of get sick of people talking about how trash Twitter is and how it's full of psychopaths. Like I don't see that, because I don't follow those people. So I just think I just like the creativity of words and jokes, and I think it's super funny. And it's literally like, if you look at your usage of apps, like it's the one I easily use the most. So yeah, it's just my favorite. It's like if it were a kid, it's the kid, I let have a beer before the legal age. It's the kid I let drive the BMW. Instagram is, it's a love-hate relationship. Like if I didn't have a GoPro, I wouldn't be on there, because it's just, I don't really care about other people's pictures. It's a lot of GoPro stuff, and my own pictures are GoPro stuff, and I get really upset that I'm like a 15-year-old girl. I like likes and stuff. So when I don't get that, I get really upset. Like I have a number in my mind of what it deserves. And it never reaches that. So it's the kid that, like, I'm going to post something tomorrow. I post it almost weekly with stuff. And so I treat it well. I give it food, clothing. I just, really show it love, but it likes mom more. It likes, the crazy aunt more. So, when I see, you post a picture about your coffee for the 17th time this year, it's like, does that need 200 likes? So I'm just salty, and that kid is, wearing thin, and
he's
and on Facebook,
he's texted me before. He's like, "Hey, did you see that picture that I posted this morning?" I said, "Yeah, it was sweet, man." He's like, "Yeah, you're the only one that thought so." So there's that. Like, oops.
Yeah, it ruins my day. Especially, like, I get it's not the best, and it's not for everyone, but there's some pictures like, okay, that's just dope, and you guys are stupid.
I've heard that a couple of times.
I literally, in a later tweet, I went and the Instagram people don't know this, but I basically called them out and said I hated them. And then Facebook, it's
that's
like
the way to win people's hearts for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. That's how you get likes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Facebook, like I didn't even create that. Like that was something my friends did back in high school because I wasn't allowed to have one. And then finally it just kind of weaseled its way and I got the account because I didn't like the fact that someone was posting on my behalf, especially in high school.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
I took control of that and yeah, I don't like what other people post. It's dumb stuff and it's not that interesting and it's basically just older people. So
I'm assuming it's safe to say you don't have a TikTok.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this because I couldn't tweet it. It's like the only reason why like I'm grown, I'm not even saying I'm grown, but I'm an adult man.
Sure.
Has TikTok is to get his dick docked. I'm sorry. That's just like the only reason. It's like you're probably just horny and trying to get laid, or you're just watching like, to be honest, like probably underage girls. So I'm like, I don't.
Yep, that's a good point. I can't disagree. I hate TikTok, so I'm with you.
I was gonna tweet that, but that needs probably verbal explanation.
So you saved it for the podcast.
Yes, yeah.
This is why I asked Jordan to be on the podcast. You are welcome, everybody.
And this is why I checked with 2 other people first. So I guess we were both right. Okay, so here's another one. I enjoy that. This is a good story. So another tweet. Thought I was the only one in the office, but someone showed up unexpectedly. I was startled and just blurted out, "Whoa, you startled me, brother," just like Hulk Hogan. Now, why in the world would you say brother? I've never even heard you say like, "Hey, brother," to anybody, but it just popped out because you were terrified.
Yeah, and like I've made fun of you before because you use like man a lot, and I just don't.
I do.
That's not how I talk. Like that's not in my vocabulary really. And so I've been alone in the office with the pandemic for the last like 4 weeks. If anyone comes by, I usually know about it, or they'll ring kind of the front counter bell, and I can run over. But I was coming back from the mailroom. And this kind of really nice guy, but he's loud and he's like a shorter, stockier guy. So he has these huge arms, wearing this black polo, huge arms, and just very muscle bound. So I was walking by, kind of screwing around, and all of a sudden he just drops like a bunch of metal tools on the front counter, makes a giant clang, and I just kind of jump. And like I said, I just kind of like it's that social. I have that social anxiety. I panicked and I just said, "Whoa, brother!" And like kind of like with a Hulk Hogan twang. And it was just like, oh,
brother.
this is so like I'm glad it was him because he's actually pretty cool and he would say something like I think I just matched his level of kind of vocabulary and I was so embarrassed. Like he didn't hold it against me, and it definitely startled me. And I don't like being spooked like that. So if you want some like real like either vulgar or just weird stuff to come out, you gotta jump me in. Like that's kind of when weird things happen.
Yeah.
That was like your version of like peeing your pants. Like it just kind of like scared you really quickly.
Yeah,
I turned into Hulk Hogan without like the sex tape or the racism.
Right. I feel like if you would have peed your pants, it probably would have been better than what came out.
Yeah,
whoa,
exactly.
Brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, you text me. I'm like, oh, I felt embarrassed for you. So okay, so we got another one. I'm almost afraid to bring this one up, but we're gonna go for it. My younger brother is trying to convince me that he is better looking than Henry Golding. I'm impressed that he managed to have the worst take of 2020 on New Year's Eve. How do you feel about that?
We had dinner on New Year's Eve, and he just it got brought up somehow. I think we were talking about whose girlfriend, like her celebrity crush. And then I don't know how it got to Henry Golding, but then he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm better looking than that dude. Like he's not even that good looking." It's like, "Oh, really? The guy that was rumored to play James Bond isn't, objectively handsome?" So that's kind of where that one came. So it was just kind of weird that that goes through his head. And I'm not saying he's not a good looking kid, our younger brother, but hey, let's be realistic. I mean, if he looked like Henry Golding, we would know about that.
Yeah. Are you looking him up right now?
Yes, but because
who, our brother or Henry Golding?
No, Henry Golding. I've met your brother. He's from Crazy Rich Asians, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, that's how I recognize. I looked him
Now,
up.
did you ask us that question because you know we're Japanese? It's like, of course they would know.
No, that's the only movie I've seen him in. That's why I asked. You're so dumb. Yes, that's
like, of
why
course you guys know, right? That dude. It's like, oh, all right. Look how comfortable Deb got on this podcast. Thanks a lot, Jordan. You just brought it out of her. But no, yes, you're right. He is from that movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Is a good looking dude or no?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah. Heck
There you go.
Okay.
Sure.
I mean, he's like on GQ at least one of the months previously. So it's like you're not on GQ. I don't know what you're thinking. So.
Yeah, I missed this conversation, but I can imagine. I have a pretty good idea of how that conversation went. I'm sure it was a heated one for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, it's what he feels. If he feels like he's better looking than him, then let him. Then he is. That's fine.
You don't know our relationship. That would never happen.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Do you have brothers, Dad?
I do not.
Yeah, she doesn't understand. She doesn't understand.
Like I was gonna listen and try to be reasonable, but you have
no. I say that no, and it's not. My coworkers. I'm surrounded. Well, when I'm working from home and not, but when I go to work, I'm surrounded by older males that are like older, 50 and over, and they're like my annoying older brothers. So I would have said the same thing to them. The response from you guys would have been the same as theirs. I'm okay with that.
That being said, we're not going to say his name, but one of your coworkers has state title rings. So it's a little different than us. It's a little bit more successful, but that's okay. That's fine. Anyways, okay, here's another tweet, and we might just end on this one for the tweets because I'm sure you have some stories, Jordan, that you could tell. But I do like this one because it's a little bit of a cross promotion. So on our other podcast last week, or no, was it last week? Yeah, this past week, we had a competition where we had our top 32 downloaded guests of 2020 compete in a bracket, and Jordan happened to be one of those guests. So congratulations to you for making the bracket. And you actually went you made it to the third round, which is pretty solid. Solid. So I know that's not how you feel, but
no, I mean, next time I'm just gonna have a charity to bring to the table too. Maybe that will get me over the top.
No, hey, do it, man. Do it. But anyways, after you were eliminated, you tweeted, "If you followed my IG stories, you know that I lost the Guest of the Year contest for @Josh Takimoto's podcast. Over the years, I have had many IG accounts proposition me with lewd acts, but they were nowhere to be found for the IG vote. I hate being used for my body." It's a fair point. Very fair point. A lot of those DMs, like, do you want to see naked pictures and naked spelt wrong? None of them showed up for you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll have, very suggestive people in my DMs. They typically it's a mass DM, but yeah, no, I've had some very crude things said to me about what people want done to them, these accounts or bots. And I just, I don't understand. It's like I'm kind of their online booty call, but then when I need them for a vote,
nowhere to be found.
These bots were willing to rig this election. So I'm just saying, like, you guys could have, stepped up if you really wanted, some of my body.
Yeah, it could have been a click for click situation. I click your link, you click mine, everybody wins.
Right. It's a real transaction that way, just under the table.
Right. Yeah. Under the table. Yep.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a podcast that Jordan and I listened to, and they were talking about the same type of situation. And Deb, I don't know if you get those types of messages ever, but it is funny when you look at those, when you see like a spam account, and then you see how many people are responding to it. It's like, I'm just looking, I'm lonely, I'm looking for a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And then you see like all these people, it's like, I got you. I was like, oh my gosh, none of you guys realize it's fake. There's a lot of desperate people there looking for love. And it's like, absolutely, I'll be the first one that's going to say I can take care of you. It's like, this is not a good situation, guys. This is not going to lead you to the path that you're hoping.
Go ahead.
Well, like that's never. I've never gotten those messages, or I don't pay attention at least. But I have a friend who, oddly, she gets like DMs from just like one person. It's happened a few times, yeah, no, and they're talking to her, and they're like, yeah, I'll take care of you, pretty much saying like I'll be your sugar daddy. It always happens to her, and I'm like, how do you get these messages? And it's not even a group, it's just one person. I'm like, how do they? And she's like, I don't know. And she'll mess with them, so she's talking to them and she's like, okay, where do you live? And they say, like Texas, and she's like, oh, okay. Obviously it's a fake picture.
Sure.
And then obviously it's a fake state, because then the next sentence is like, doesn't even make sense, like broken English type thing.
Right. Yep.
She's like, yeah, you're not from Texas. Okay.
Nice try.
So yeah, it's happened to her a couple of times. It's really funny. And then she reports back to me and says,
awesome.
You'll never believe what happened again. So it's great. She messes with them in the end. It's really funny.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's such a weird thing, especially from like one person, like you said, it's the same person. It's like, hey, if you want to prove you're real, send some money this way. Let's let's start like $100 and then move our way up. See what happens. So that was just a little taste of Jordan's Twitter. That was fun. I feel like there was more, but you know what? Tenet. Have you Zeb? I almost called Deb Zeb. It's a different guest we've had on. My old baseball coach. He's not here. Deb, have you seen Tenet?
In this conversation then.
Yeah, I don't think so. Have you seen Tenet, Deb?
I have not.
It's a crazy one. I just watched it this weekend. Jordan, you watched it a couple days before me. It's a wild ride for sure.
So what's it about?
Great question. We don't know. No, it's kind of. No. Is
it a movie?
You go ahead, Jordan. Yeah, it's a movie. It just came out. It came out during the pandemic, like when they opened up theaters for a little bit.
Like late summer.
Late summer, yeah. And then it didn't. It wasn't there very long because I think they kind of shut stuff down again. But yeah, it's hard to even explain. We were talking about it over the weekend. It's kind of
what kind of movie?
Like a sci-fi
thriller action.
Yeah, all those kind of things. But I think that's the big thing. Somebody was asking me because I planned on watching it, and so I was trying to avoid all the spoilers. And my wife was saying, "Hey, have you seen anything about it, or have you been able to stay away?" I said I've seen. The only thing I've seen is that people are super confused about what's going on. And yeah, she was right. It was awesome. It was a fun watch for sure, but it was definitely it makes my head hurt. I'm definitely not smart enough to watch that kind of movie, but visually it's amazing.
Okay, so then I'm gonna have to watch it by myself, because I'm gonna be asking 1,000 questions, so no one's gonna want to watch it with me.
Oh yeah, no, we've made that very clear in these last few episodes. Let me ask you this, Jordan. So we found out Deb is someone who likes to talk and ask questions during movies. How do you feel about that? Thumbs up or thumbs down for someone who likes to, talk during movies?
Oh, in the words of your friend Dave Chappelle, I wish I had more hands. You could that 4 thumbs down. That's nuts. I'm a very particular media consumer, so I can't watch TV shows with my sister because she'll do that.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so when I was still living at home, I will say this. I'll call us out a little bit. The one exception, because you and I can't help ourselves, and during The Bachelor, Deb, you and I talked about this, The Bachelor and Bachelorette, right? So when I was living at home, I would watch that with them. Jordan and I would watch it with my mom and my sister. Problem was they didn't like watching it with us because we couldn't keep our mouths shut. So that was the one exception where it's we had to comment. It's like I was podcasting before I actually had a podcast. You know what I mean? And I had mentioned this in one of our last episodes. There was this really funny moment with Juan Pablo that I didn't want to say on air last time, but I said, okay, I told Jordan, I said, hey man, if you come on, we'll talk about it when you come on. So, and I'm almost positive this is the last time I was allowed to even watch that show with my mom and sister. I think I'm banned for life. Because I really don't think I've watched an episode with them since then. But if anybody who's familiar with The Bachelor, Juan Pablo is one of the contestants, and I think probably considered one of the worst. Right? Just nothing really went right for that dude. And
so bad.
And Deb, I don't know if you saw this or heard this. If you haven't heard this, or if you didn't catch this when the episode aired, make sure you go check it out on YouTube, because I'm in tears every time I watch it. But I remember that Jordan and I, we were watching it with my mom and sister, and it was that last rose ceremony, and he was it was when he was with the girl that he was not going to choose, right? So he was at that point where you kind of have to let him down.
Was that Claire?
That's Claire, which is the current bachelor, or she's
from Sacramento. Claire, you have an open invite to our podcast if you're interested. Claire. Feel free. Yeah. But so he was letting her down easy, or trying to, right? And the part that just got me, and I started laughing uncontrollably, especially after I made eye contact with Jordan, is he said something like, "I wish the earth sucked me." What? And we heard him say that. It's like, did he just say he wished the earth sucked him? What is he talking about? Did you not hear this? Jordan knows what I'm talking about. We were dying like with laughter for like 5 minutes. I could not help myself.
Like it's undefeated, undisputed, the best probably TV moment of my life. And unfortunately it was pre like peak Twitter. So like it was like it now if that would have happened, it would have been like the biggest thing ever. Because he literally he really wanted the earth to suck him.
Yeah. And I think what he was trying to say was like, I wish I could just like be like sucked into the earth and like disappear, but it didn't come out that way. And it sounded like he wanted, something completely different from Mother Nature.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh. And there was one person, like, I'm like, well, there's someone on Twitter must have picked up on that. There was one lady when I just hashtagged that, she's like, this dude just said that. I'm like, yeah, there's at least one more of us out there. So it was one of the funniest things. And then that was like the moment I got kicked out of, watching.
They're like, get out.
Yeah. It's like, enough of you. I'm like, all right, understand.
That was early DVR. So we wanted like maybe them to rewind it like several different times just to hear Juan Pablo say, I wish the earth would suck me.
Yeah, we did. And it was, like I said, as soon as he said it, we looked at each other and then just laughter. Like, you heard that, right? Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of things that he said that didn't make sense. But
yeah, that takes the cake. For us, that was definitely. So yeah, go ahead if you have some time, Deb. Look it up on YouTube. I'm sure it's there. And it's good.
Something that every finale, I'll text them and it's like, hey, it's finale episode. You remember that one time when Juan Pablo wished the earth would suck him?
Yeah, it's like, man, really wants to be one with nature in a much different way than most people do. He's not Bear Grylls by any means. He's talking about making love with the earth. I don't know.
I missed that. Good. I mean, but that was like the worst like I stopped watching The Bachelor and Bachelorette after that season. I was so annoyed. I don't even know if I made it to the finale. I maybe have stopped watching it because
that's a bummer.
This season was it annoyed me so much.
You missed out. And see, this is another I guess another point of proof that you don't have brothers, because this is the kind of nonsense that my mom and sister have to deal with all the time. And now my wife, you know what I mean? So
because I think women were just disgusted the way he treated the women. That was the biggest takeaway, is this guy's a pig, he's disgusting. Sure. And our biggest takeaway is that he, wanted the earth to suck up. So
yeah, they're probably setting a record for how many times that's going to be said on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that was great. Well, thank you. I'm going to look that up after this.
Please do. And let us know your reaction, because it's pretty, you're going to watch it and like, these guys are idiots. I can't believe we had one on and I actually do a podcast with the other. Like, what's wrong with me?
Maybe I'll record my reaction.
Yeah, there you go. Record your reaction. Deb has an iPhone now. She had an Android for a while. Which
from Android to iPhone, I've turned over to the dark side.
Yep.
I've made many people happy and a few people upset. So.
Oh, you made some upset, huh?
Yeah, my Android friends, they're like, I literally got DMs, on both sides saying like, oh, yay, you have an iPhone. And some saying, why?
Why
do you need an iPhone? I'm like, look, I'm not trying to like make enemies here, but I just did. I just went on iPhone. My friend offered me a deal to go on her plan and it saved me money. And the deal was you get an iPhone finally, so that our group chat. I'm saving money. I don't care. I just need a phone at this point, because I went a week without a phone.
Now, is this, sorry to interrupt you, is this the same friend that was being propositioned by the sugar daddy? Because if so, you have someone else to thank. Oh, there you go. So she didn't. There you go.
friend.
All right, it all adds up. I just had to ask.
Coincidentally, it is. So anyway, so I had,
or maybe not.
My Android, right. My Android friends are very upset. They feel like I've turned on them, and my iPhone friends are like celebrating, like excited, like ecstatic. So I don't know how to feel about that, but I really like it. I've FaceTimed more people than I probably should have this week. I think they're annoyed at me at this point. So instead of making a phone call, it's a FaceTime. It's like, no, we're gonna FaceTime. You made me get this phone. We're gonna FaceTime. I'm gonna annoy you. So
that's a good. I think that balances out. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah, it's cool.
There you go. I have no problem with the droids though. I had one for a little while. It was fine.
Yeah.
But certain things you don't get the criticism from people. Like I said,
right.
the green bubble thing. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah. Whatever. Well, on the iPhone, it's like a toy. There's just a fun little gadget. It's like there's extra things on it and whatever. So it's a toy.
There you go. So, anyways, Roy, she has a new phone. So not that you care about any of that, but
that was good.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm glad I'm staying on for that explanation. So
yeah, this is like, why did I come on this episode? Man, I'm trying to think. I feel like there was another story that I had because you and I have like, so Jordan. I don't know if you know this, Deb, but Jordan was my best man for my wedding. And so, which is always a little tough when it's like you have two brothers, and it's like I could have chosen either one of them, but I chose Jordan. And
so
say it again.
You what?
I paid you more, so
he did pay me more.
Nice bidder.
Justin's like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, all right, well, Jordan wins. So
$50 or out.
But he gave a really, really good best man speech when he, at our wedding. And one of the stories he told, I forgot what we were doing. You and I went to dinner though at California Pizza Kitchen. And I think we drove my sister somewhere. I think she had to chaperone some event. And so like, we'll go, but we're not going to go to the event, but we'll like give you a ride and we'll just drop you off. And then we're going to go to dinner while you're doing that. And so we went to the California Pizza Kitchen and we were just sitting there. And Deb, I don't know how often or if you've ever been to California Pizza Kitchen, but it's, it's a little bit of a dimmer, like lit place. And so him and I were just sitting there, and I'll let you take it from here, Jordan, because you have a little better recollection of it, but the interaction that we had with the waiter.
Yeah, it was funny during the actual speech. It's like you didn't remember it, so it's like my mind's racing to make sure I didn't make this up. And I asked you afterwards, like, that really happened, right? That wasn't fake. And it was like, oh no, that definitely happened. I just forgot.
It wasn't until you got to the punchline or like, oh, that's right. But yeah, go ahead.
So we, like Josh said, we were out, and it was a Friday night, so. Josh at that point was trying to dress nicer, so he had a nice button up, some nice jeans, probably some like nice shoes. And I was single at that point, so it's like anything in public, I'm trying to, as best as I can, look a little bit nicer. So I probably had a nice V-neck on, and some nice pants or whatever. So we were going out to dinner. We get seated, and this waitress was super nice. And was just kind of just talking to us, kind of the normal small talk. And she's like, okay, so what are you guys doing here? Is it, a birthday, promotion, anniversary?
Anniversary?
And we kind of we were kind of just shocked, and we just kind of looked at each other, and then she kept going and didn't realize it. And it's like, and we were just kind of stunned. It's like, oh, we're hanging out tonight. And like, she had a big booming voice too. So it's like the 17 tables that were around us all heard that we were on our anniversary there. And nothing against, gay people or anything like that. But it was just, again, I was single, maybe trying to attract maybe some female attention. And I don't think that happened. I think it was more male attention, especially, like I said, Josh was wearing a nice express, button up. I was wearing probably too tight of a V-neck. Yeah. And so again, it was just like, after she left, she's like, wait, does she think we're like on a date here? Like,
she thinks we're lovers. That's basically what's happening here.
Right. Exactly.
And everybody else around the restaurant thinks Jordan has horrible taste. It's like, oh, that guy? That's the best you could do?
And so like we're
old dude?
pretty comfortable with our, you know, our masculinity, but that night it was just like we didn't talk about anything that would be, you know, associated stereotypically with that. So we're just like, I remember that was the night where Klay Thompson had a really record night for the Warriors. So we're just like, man, Klay Thompson's just such a beast, but you know, I bet his wife's super hot, right?
Yeah.
She's like a real smoke show, a real freak in the bedroom.
Yeah, I bet. Like he probably drives a crazy
He was-
car. Like we don't know anything about cars, but we're trying to talk about cars like we know what we're talking about. Like, yeah, I would bet that
my
crazy
God.
engine or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like I bet his DMs are filled with just these smoke shows, and it's just
Yeah.
you know, we just had a talk like that for the rest of the. Josh was planning on paying for me. I had to pay for my own because he didn't want any association that I was his lover.
No, not at all.
He just split the bill, and it was just
Also, you and I
wow.
would never use the word smoke show, but in that moment we had to. Like,
yeah,
gotta
I
do
was
it.
just pulling like anything I've heard out of the out, like anything about women and just derogatory. I was just thinking whatever I can to just kind of overcompensate and just show everyone I was, hey, into women,
Yeah.
you know.
You guys didn't correct her? You guys didn't say that's my brother?
We wanted to see if she was going to give us like a cake or something. You know what I mean? If she's going to.
You're like, let's see if
She was really excited that we could potentially be on an anniversary. So very progressive of her. So
Yeah, so we're gonna write it out just in case you're like, hey, I thought you guys could celebrate with this cupcake. It's like, absolutely, we're definitely gonna split it in half, but we will enjoy it. We're not gonna do like the Lady and the Tramp thing and meet in the middle.
Feed it to each other.
Yeah, no, yeah, feed it to each other. No, I'm good. So,
oh my God.
I was gonna mention something. I can't remember. It was something along those same lines, but.
So you told that story at the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, it was kind of dicey, you know, especially around that topic. Like I don't want to offend people. I really don't care. It's not the first time someone's thought that about me, to be honest. But it's just like it's dicey, especially I know Rachel had a couple coworkers that are gay, and so I didn't want to offend anyone, but I just kind of went for it, and I think they really enjoyed it. So yeah.
Oh, they were laughing the hardest for sure. So they enjoyed that one.
They appreciated it the most.
They definitely appreciated that joke.
That is awesome.
I will say this. I'm going to say this one other story. This says, Jordan, you were just there for this. I'm actually going to be making fun of our youngest brother. I've done it to his face plenty of times. So we went to Hawaii quite a few years ago as a family, and me, Jordan, and Justin were sitting together in the same row, and then the rest of our family was on the other side. And this younger stewardess was, coming through and, giving out like the snacks and the drinks and stuff like that. And she just loved the three of us. We don't know why. She just loved the three of us. And she was always, every time she came by, she always had something to say and was always talking. And so my youngest brother was on the inside of the aisle, and she looked at us and she said, hey, because we were going to Hawaii. And so she said, hey, where are you? Which island are you boys from? Well, I think it's just because of our complexion. She assumed that we were like going back home, right? And not vacationing. And so without missing a beat, our youngest brother's like, oh, we're from Sacramento, or we're from the Sacramento Island. I'm like, Sacramento Island? What are you talking about? And she just gave him this look. I said, no, I'm sorry. We're from here. We're going on vacation. She's like, oh. But just like, he's like, oh yeah, Sacramento Island. I'm like, oh no.
Sacramento Island.
It was the best thing.
How old were you guys?
Old enough for us not to say that. Oh. Yeah, it was probably about what is it? That was like 2015. So yeah, not that long ago. Oh my God. It was awesome. We loved it. Awesome. Jordan and I loved it. And we told the rest of our family, it's like, oh, he thinks we're from Sacramento Island. Ah! And we just had a great time with it. But, that's what I'm saying, Deb. You miss out on this kind of stuff when you don't have brothers. It's probably pretty tame.
I know.
Well, it's not all. Go ahead.
Oh, no. When we were younger, it wasn't. But now that we're older, we're just a little more mellow. That's for sure.
Oh, there you go.
Dig up a few stories.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have to have her on at some point. It'd be fun.
No, I was just gonna say it's not all good having brothers, especially Josh and I used to work together, and that isn't the best situation either, because I think and I'm not just being humble. I do think Josh has just a higher approval rating and people like him. He's a little bit more friendly. I'm just definitely some people say standoffish, I guess. But there was a time where we were working together, and the office we worked at, very nice people, but there's not a lot of younger women there. There was maybe two that were kind of younger, and as a guy, single guy, I have that on my mind. And so there's one time we took our walks together. So I'm all the way across the building. I was walking, and all of a sudden a girl, I passed a girl in the hallway, one of the younger ones, very, very pretty. And she's like, "Oh, hey, how are you? How was your weekend?" It's like, good. I've never met this girl in my life. I've never seen her, but she's just being super friendly and just super upfront with everything. She's like, "Man, those are, I like those shoes, say hi to the family for me. And, I hope, you have a great week." And I'm like, "Oh, wow, this is kind of awesome." Like, as I'm walking to Josh to go take my walk, I'm thinking, okay, so is it standard like 3-month salary for an engagement ring? Or like, I'm thinking like wedding bells with this girl, because no one this hot like ever talks to me. And then so I'm pretty excited, and Josh can see kind of the glow on my face when he meets up. And so it's like, what's your deal? Like, did you just get like a monster or something? And it's like, no. Like, that girl upstairs? Like, yeah, she's like super nice to me. Like, I think, like, I don't know why we've never talked, but she seems super into me. And it's like, oh, that girl. It's like, yeah, that girl definitely thought I was you were me. And it's like, oh, this is so embarrassing.
Oh no.
It's just definitely the worst being like associated with him, because people think I'm him all the time.
It does happen quite a bit. And I do remember that moment, because it was a girl who just started working there, and she was actually someone who I knew from my time with like Character Combine and Be Change. And I didn't know her very well. It's just she was good friends with Michelle Raby. And so we were just kind of acquaintances, but I didn't even know her that well. And so it didn't surprise me that she wouldn't know exactly what I looked like. And so I think the day before I ran into her, I'm like, "Hey, didn't realize you worked here." She's like, "Oh yeah." And so we were just talking a little bit. And so then when he told me that story, I'm like, it's a good chance that's what happened, because he was sharing some of the stuff that she was saying to him. I was like, that sounds like a conversation we had yesterday. And then it was like, do I tell him, or do I just let him ride with this? And that's like, no, I got to let him know, because like he said, he's like, "What do you think about this engagement ring?" I'm like, no, I got to tell him.
He has his phone out. He's like, "I already picked this out. Help me.
Yeah.
Help me pick it out."
It's like, all right, well,
like, I got to Jared, and it was just, ready. I had it in the shopping cart.
Yeah. So, sometimes you have to have those tough conversations as the older brother. I'm like, well, I put my hand on his shoulder. Here's the problem. She thought you were me. So if it helps you, go for it, man. But probably won't. So.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So you should really feel bad for our sister. Our sister. And so this is what she's had to deal with for many years, and still to this day.
I'd like to hear her. I was going to say, I'd like to hear her version of all those stories. So I'm going to have another Zoom dinner date with her and your wife soon.
Yeah, I know. I walked out of the office working on the podcast, which I do all the time. I basically do all the work for this. Not a big deal. I just want to point that out to everybody. And I walk out and I hear your voice, and then I see them sitting next to each other. It's like, it felt like you were starting another podcast behind my back. That's what it felt like. Because I walk out of the office and I just hear like a familiar voice. I'm like, that's not Ashley. That's not Rachel. That's Deb. And it's like, yeah, it's like they were, all cheating on me with a different podcast. I felt very betrayed.
Like, I bet you walked out and it was like they were watching a TV show, because they were sitting there watching me talk.
They were very focused.
Yeah.
Well, then I
walked out. You showed
out.
up, and then I said, well, I saw Josh show up, and I said, "Get out of here. I talked to you enough. It's girl time. Go away."
And I told her, I said,
in his own house. Like, you just forced him into like the side bedroom.
Yeah, she said this like she says this like it wasn't the same thing I was feeling. It's like, no, you're right. I don't want to talk to you either. But when I walk out of my office, I hear your voice booming through the living room. It's not what I wanted to hear on a Friday night. I wasn't thrilled about this.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then as soon as I turned the corner, like my wife saw me and she's like, "Oh, he's gonna say something. He can't help himself." Of course, I did. So that's why we podcast. So, well, anyways, this has gone on.
This has been fun
for long enough. This was fun, and thank you for sharing those stories. That was a lot of fun.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Oh yeah. Oh, I almost forgot. Thank you. Please do.
This just hit me. I was listening, I think probably to the Connectable last couple weeks, and it just kind of hit me. I think of random things like on my walks, and this one had to do with you, Deb. And I always feel bad when these podcasts come out because I feel like me and Josh talk too much and we leave you out. So I had a question specifically for you. It's kind of just only a question I would think of. Have you ever been in a fist fight?
Not with a person.
What does that mean?
Like a dog?
No.
You get the heck?
I've been in a fist fight with a. I've been in a fist fight with a glass window before. Does that count?
Does not count. But who won that fight?
I did. I had no cut marks, nothing.
Okay. I won. Please explain. Is there a reason why you punched the window? Am I wrong? There was no way that wasn't gonna get a follow-up question.
Yeah, no. Journalistic duty.
Yeah, I was like,
I had some anger.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen.
I had some anger.
Your review on iTunes says you guys have the utmost journalistic integrity, so I expected a follow-up.
He did say that in our review. Everybody give us 5 stars and look at his review as a template. It's great.
Let's say in my younger 20s, I had a temper, which is why I need to take boxing classes now, and I need to punch things. Yeah, what happened was I was arguing with someone, and I meant to
punch
hit
them.
The wall with my hand, just dramatically, I was so angry about something, and my fist missed the wall and hit the glass window next to it. And it went straight through, and the entire window shattered, and so there's that. I bet you didn't expect that story, Jordan, but no, I've never gotten in a fist fight with a person.
No, and just to elaborate, I feel like a couple months ago I saw you out with some friends, at, I don't know if it's a brewery or something like that.
Oh, you did?
I think so, on one of your stories, and I know
on my story. Okay, I got you.
Piecing things together. So it's just I know you play competitive sports. You're kind of like an alpha female. You have the scary tattoos, and it's just oh, she's definitely probably that kind of that. What was it, the 2012 women's soccer team where she's getting in fist fights at Disneyland with some other a rival softball player. So I just I'm guessing she's gotten in the fight because I could just see her kind of, like I said, an alpha female, and just, or indoor soccer where you kind of just maybe bump someone a little too hard and then you guys kind of just scrap.
Oh,
you know what's funny? I'm very flattered that you think that I'm that much of a badass. But what's really funny is that I'm the one actually on my soccer team. I'm the most aggressive, I think. These girls are pretty on my team. I don't know, maybe I'm not the most aggressive, but I'm the most if someone knocks me over, I just get up and go. But I'm actually the last one that would get in a fight. I've had teammates that they literally are cussing at another girl, and I am going, stop, no, stop, no, and I'm pulling them back. I'm let's not do this, no. And I have actually in high school, I've literally separated friends from fighting. So I might uphold this image, but I am totally the peacemaker. The same friend that got me my iPhone with the whole DMs, that girl, she's a feisty one, and I actually have had to pull her away from a few situations, literally. and just been like, no, let's not do this here type thing. So so I'm very aggressive and I'm an alpha female, but I am like, do not want to cause problems with anybody, at least on my end. Now, maybe one day if someone like does I don't know, I will step up for like my friends, maybe Josh, I don't know, maybe Josh, but like,
well, if I ever get into a fight with a window, I'll definitely call you first. Like, oh, this window is talking trash to me.
I got you.
Undefeated.
Yeah, please defend me. Like, oh, window, you're in trouble. My friend Deb will knock you out.
So yes, exactly. If you need me to punch a window.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's like I know like those intramural indoor soccer things. I just know alcohol's involved and that sort of thing. Now, do you trash talk?
I trash talk my teammates. I don't trash talk the other team. Or if I do it, if I know them, like we're just messing around. I don't do serious trash talk. I just can't. I don't take it seriously. I'll like I said, I'll trash talk to my friends and be like, you suck. What was that? But I won't trash talk the other team. If I don't know them, I don't trash talk them because they might swing on me. And then I'm actually afraid of what my friends will do. And my teammates will do if they swing on me. So I'm like, I don't want to cause any issues. Yeah.
So Jordan, let me ask you a question. In Deb's whole explanation of how she's not really an angry person and doesn't get into fights, at what point did you stop believing what she was saying? Because mine was like midway through. I feel like that was a long explanation to basically say, yes, I've been in a couple of fist fights I'm not going to tell you about. And like, I'm a peacemaker. I don't know if I believe any of that.
I think the contradiction happened after she said she's the most aggressive player in the field.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think after that, I kind of stopped listening. I'm going to be honest.
It was a very nice story, Deb, but I don't think either one of us really believes it because it just sounded like too much. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm the peacemaker. You know what I mean?
I've gotten that comment before, so I had an explanation ready. I always have one ready.
Which part? The part that your stories are lies? Nope. That part? Or the...
I'm just going to say...
No, just the whole, like, just the whole, I know I seem this way. I'm very nice. I'm not the aggressor. I promise. But you know what? At the end of the day, believe what you want to believe.
That seemed like it was very PR manufactured. So if anyone has like a World Star video with this softball playing redhead, send it our way and,
use the hashtag Connectable Podcast and tag us. That'd be fantastic. Thank you. Yeah.
She connects her fist with your face.
Yeah. There we go. Yes. Perfect.
All right. Okay.
So
I confess I've gotten into at least 10 fist fights in my life. There you go.
Yes.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. No, that makes sense. I'm not going to lie. I have not, maybe I just don't know you that well. I have not, I never thought you had been in a fist fight. You just didn't seem like the type that you into a fist fight, but.
Well, here's the thing. I don't care enough to get in a fist fight. I'm just like, I probably could have many times, but I just don't care enough. But I do. I love punching the bags though.
Sure.
So
yeah, that's the way to do it. It looks fun.
Yes.
It looks like a lot of fun. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap this thing up. On that note. So,
Jordan, thank you. This was so fun.
Well, we have to get his connection suggestion.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I wasn't kicking him off. I was just saying thank you.
It sounded like it was it. Like you had enough of him. It's like, all right, enough of Jordan. Get him out of here. enough of you too, Josh. Get them both out of here. Keep interrupting me, calling me a liar. I can't take this anymore.
I know, right?
So go ahead, man. Tell us, what is your connection suggestion? For anybody who doesn't know, that's basically, we just like to ask our guests if they have a brand, organization, a person. I mean, it really could be anything that you feel like people should be connected with. So what do you got?
Okay, yeah. I think I couldn't think of anyone locally that I like or care about, so I'm not going to do that. This is going to be kind of a national thing. It's probably one of my favorite podcasts. Like I said earlier, I like The Ringer's Ryan Russillo. That's my favorite guy, but I'm not going to do him because he's pretty popular. I'm going to do kind of like his podcasting tree, and there was two producers that he used to have on his ESPN show. They did a podcast, and it's kind of just basically about life for 20 and 30-year-olds. It's kind of that age range, and it's just pretty enjoyable. Hour listen every week, and it's not a lot of serious stuff that has been going on. It's a lot of just goofy stuff. Recently they've had like a state draft of all 50 states, candy drafts. So it's just kind of goofy stuff like that I think would be very similar to kind of like the format for this. So it's called the Small Talk Podcast with Michelle Smallman and Steve Cerruti. So I think you can follow them. I think his handle is @Cerruti. And I think hers is M. Smallman, and I think she's a big deal in St. Louis. And like I said, he used to produce for a lot of those ESPN shows. So you can go to their website at, I think it's smalltalkpod.com, and it's it's like I said, one of my favorite podcasts to listen to.
Cool, sounds awesome. Good. We'll definitely check that out.
Thank you.
Yes, so awesome. So thank you, man, so much for joining us. That was a lot of fun, and
yeah. That turned into the Takimoto brothers story time. I loved it. That was great.
I'm sorry. I told everyone I'm not talk as much too. I know sometimes it's hard with me and him because I know we can shut up. It feels like you're just kind of looking on. Oh. So I need to be better at that.
That was like the most entertaining I've seen all week. So that was great.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was the best, huh? Oh no. Well, good. I'm glad we get through some. I know. Deb, you and I have talked about this off air. I always feel. I feel like we both had this conversation. Like, I feel like once we stop recording, we're like, "Hey, sorry, I think I talked way too much on that one," or like we both said that about different people we've brought on.
Yeah.
It just happens for the people that we're connected with. You know what I mean? Like we had one person on recently on our other podcast who you were a huge fan of, their clothing brand, and it was like. I just gotta let you run.
I think I took over that one. I think I was just like, no, Josh, okay. And so like I was all over that one.
Right. And then afterwards she's like, I'm sorry if I should have shot. Like, why? You run with it. You know what I mean? So it happens. Anyways, Jordan, where can they follow you on social media? Where's your favorite child at?
Oh, it's at Twitter. Definitely at Jordan Takimoto.
Yeah.
Yeah, both Twitter and Instagram.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, man. And we will talk to you later.
Okay.
We'll have you on again soon.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, man.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable Podcast.